Good morning, folks. And the geese are saying good morning. How we doing? Yes, geese. Are we diddling? We're all right.
Come on, quick, quick.
How we doing, folks? Good morning. Today, but it is cold, cold, man. Wish I lived in Australia now. Honestly, I'd sit under a scorched tree and just buzz, buzz. Hello, welcome. Thank you for jumping on. Just another short one. As you can see with the title, it's key to navigating abuse, mastering your own domain. It's a weird one when you try and break it down. I think in my case, it worked with me believing that was a thing, and that was something I had to probably ascend to, really. I'm not a spiritual individual, but I do practice my own individual spirituality, if that makes any sense. I don't have crystals, I don't start shaking incense about, saying prayers and things. I just go about my life with light and try and have a light footprint wherever I touch. And most of the time it works, sometimes it doesn't, the way it is. But I guess mastering your own domain is a way of managing it. So you try and always stay in that light, even if everything around you is dark. Good morning, everybody. Greetings from York. Yes. Good morning, folks. Hope you're doing all right wherever you are. This is a mad one. Where I'm actually situated, I'm working here at the moment. If anyone knows this area, I'd only have to say Dr. Death presided in this area. The Moors murderers presided in this area. That chap, is it Cregan, who threw a hand grenade at police, presided in this area. And probably a more positive note, Ricky Hatton presides in this area. So that'll give you an indication as to where I am. It is a gorgeous part of the world. It's a part of the world that's had so much social stigma when I was growing up. You wouldn't believe it. From what I believe of this area was classed as an overspill, which meant that when Manchester was getting really crowded, they had to figure out where to put people. So this was an overspill area designed to take the heat off the growing population in Manchester. And it is an absolutely glorious place. You can see they're just totally covered with beautiful hills. There's new builds where I'm working on coming up at the moment. There's an old estate that's still here. It's got its issues like any other area. But me personally, every time I ride around here, I find it hard to believe that the Moors murderers, the Dr. Death, the Cregan, all that nasty negativity. Because I look at these hills and I think, man, just looking at them makes me feel a whole lot better. So I can't get why they held on to that negativity to but people are people. So the reason why I'm actually in this spot, it's a very poignant spot, talking about mastering of domain. There was an incident, as people know, I've been doing this channel for, 4 or 5 years, probably near 4. Covered many different things. Colour has been a major issue in a lot of stories that I've covered. Race, indigenous populations. That's all become a big factor in people's lives for very many reasons. I've touched into a few of these subjects, not realising how dark it's going to be, and not realising that ultimately people do see you as a individual of colour. So I started this channel when I was called a Nazi, and I started to then go round to different marches, because I firmly believed that that march that I was on, for them to be castigated as a load of Nazis and a load of far right, it was disingenuous. And I kind of proved that point because I started to do more and more marches where I was seeing good, more good. There was ultimately wrongings, you get wrongings in society, but they were the minimal. There was more good. And I was a man of colour, not that I was seeing myself as a man of colour, but to the masses, I was a man of colour going out in a maverick way doing this. It only got to a certain point when I touched ethno-nationalism and the National Front that things started the heat come back on me. And it was very ironic, and it was quite hurtful at the time, because people were ultimately quite happy for me to run up and down, take time out of my life, my family time, and my expense, to go film marches, to go and talk to people and interview people. And then 2 or 3 years after that, for someone to come in your comment section and say to you, Phil, you're not English. Man, that hit me like a sledgehammer. It hit me like a sledgehammer. I felt people were taking me for granted or manipulating me, because you don't appreciate me and my skin tone, but you appreciate me running around, you appreciate my words, you appreciate the interviews. So I'm doing your dirty work, but ultimately you don't even see me as a first-class citizen, because the way it was put out there, they were implying that because I'm not English, I'm then therefore what is classed as a civ nat rather than an F nat. Basically meaning I'm a second-class citizen. And that hurt me big time. Now, same again, the major point here is mastering your domain, your own domain, your own footprint, what you are about. It means loving yourself, everything about you, the good about you, the good you can do for other people, and the positive interactions you have with other people, the joy you can bring and other like-minded people bring to you. That's your own domain. But it's funny how when people come and they hit you with such a blow, it can rock your domain, make you feel that your domain is not a reality. They're trying to own your domain and own you, trying to tell you what you are like. And it took me a while. I mean, the reason why I'm here is because when I had that comment put in, that low-grade comment, it was a reactionary comment from someone that was hitting back at me because they were feeling inadequate about themselves. That's all it was. Now I see that. At the time I come here, I was working on this site, and I come to this very spot and I ranted. I went off on one. I didn't get abusive. I didn't direct it to any individual. I was metaphorically just shouting at the phone, because I'm like, how dare you? How dare you call me not English? Yeah? And it was funny because even with that low vibration, yes mate, morning, all right. Well, he's probably thinking, why aren't you at work? What are you doing? Get back to work, I'm gonna grass it up. And it rocked me. Because I thought, you're taking the piss. You're trying to devalue me as an individual. And you know what? With my reactionary post, I allowed you to make me think that that was a reality. You shook my domain. And I reacted like I let you shake my domain. So everything that happened in that reactionary stream that I'd done was me entering in their domain. They must have been metaphorically rubbing their hands when that happened, because it got me. What made it worse, there was comments coming through trying to break down why I'm not English in the very stream that I'm telling people that they were out of order for saying that in the first place. So there was ultimately other people doubling down on it. And I'm like, man, now I see it. They were weak. They were feeling fragile. They were feeling ultimately threatened about their race. That wasn't me. They made me, or tried to make me, feel devalued. I wasn't devalued. I didn't realize it at the time. If this was like a car showroom, I'd gone in to sell a car that was a beautiful Bentley. Full service history, sweet as a nut. Fucking mint interior, fat ass stereo in it. You know? The car salesman is depreciating it. Every moment he's walking around it. He's constantly telling me it needs work here, it needs work there. Own your domain. My domain means that that car is mint. So don't try and tell me that that car is worthless. But because it's hit me at a point, it might start to work. So that car that I felt was mint, I've probably took 2 or 3 grand less for it, because I've allowed for him to depreciate my domain in order for him to enter in with his narcissistic agenda to get more money out of me. So that, seriously, this is why this spot, I'm now sat here a few years later, knowing that I've done that post, and that video is still up. I remember trying to hit back after that video, because I literally thought, right, fuck you. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a video, and I'm going to put a fat ass jungle track in it with some bass line, and I'm going to show the beauty about English, in black English. So what I proceeded to do was show a series of clips where all these so-called non-English black English players have been celebrated, where they've scored goals, where they've been a football legend. And now I know that personally that was wrong, because I let it enter my domain. And that's been happening ever since. There's never a time that I don't have to manage and assess and make sure that my domain remains mine. It doesn't remain somebody else's, so they can come online and have their way with my domain. You ain't touching my domain. So if I was to break down a domain, same again, it's what you regard yourself as. Your worth, the beauty you bring to the positive people around you, whether it be your family, whether it be your friends, or all of them. That is your domain. Someone telling you external from that you are worthless is false, because within your domain you are king, you are respected, you are loved, you are idolized. They cannot change that, although if you let them enter your domain, guarantee your thoughts will start to change. Your shine will tarnish a little bit, and that may affect your future relationships with your friends, with your family. So I regard it all as a falsehood. Self-empowering, realizing you could come back to the spot a few years later where someone made you feel so worthless, but you could come, you alright dude? Yeah mate. He's just looking at me thinking, why is he just talking? You can come back with power. Power. Morning, everybody. Sorry, I've not even been looking at the chat. Doing my usual waffling, looking at beautiful mountains and scenery. You can come back and own it. And if you can't make it back to the spot, you can think of that spot. You can think of what that spot represented, the domain. I ain't there anymore. Having said that, it is a constant battle. Who knows what the next hour might bring, the next day, the next week. It will test me. It will challenge my domain again. But I've got to keep remembering my domain, my Bentley. You're a Bentley. Top of the range shit. Fat rims. Man, them wheels look good. You got a fat paint job. Lovely curves. We all have in our own way. And don't let anyone try to tell you that you are a Robin Reliant. Because anyone who tries to do that, ultimately, guess what they are? They're the Robin Reliant. Because they see your Bentley, and the only way they can make themselves feel like a Bentley is to make you feel like you're a Robin Reliant. And one thing I will say, before I absolutely freeze out here, I was watching a video of Amber Alerts again yesterday, where she had some gangster geese that was being a little bit, you know, bigging up its chest in the middle of the street. It's like, yes, having it. Rather than focusing on the geese, I was listening in the background because the camera was on the geese. Well, the geese was bigging itself up, big time, proper Napoleonic geese that was. I was listening to Amber and obviously her daughter. I was listening to the interactions in the background. I was listening to the way they conducted the chats with one another. And it pleased me greatly that, you know what, how can anyone cast aspersions when you can hear what you can hear? You know what I mean? That's your domain. Own your domain. How can anyone degrade that domain when it's there? It's yours. It's your property. Between you and your daughter, you and your son, you and your wife, your domain. That third party shit only works if you let it. So guys, I'm gonna get going because, oh man, it's so cold. Talk about holding me domain. Fucking hell. How can I warm up? So go on guys, have a great day. Hope you enjoy yourselves, whatever you're doing. Make peace for yourselves and everyone around you. And your day will start to get better. So enjoy yourselves. Peace and love, guys. Love you all. Even the pissinators.